Welcome to the show. I am your host, Israel Rivera, here at Prime Sports World. Bring you another season preview as we get the train chugging along here on our season preview series here with the Tennessee Titans. Finished at the bottom of the AFC South last season. But before we start the show, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast at Prime Sports World on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And in case you missed us, you can catch us on all streaming platforms where podcasts can be heard. And also, please make sure to subscribe to our website at pswmg.com, or just make sure to just go check out any hot, up-to-date content on your way to the train. We're on any mobile device that you can get on. That's your iPhone, your iPad, your computer, anything, as I drop the hottest up-to-date content in the sporting world, in the sports world on there as well. And, some big things for college football, because as we get college football starting up, I'll be Prime Sports World. I was going to let this news come about in college football. You know what? Actually, I'll let that drop. I just had to leave a little cliffhanger because we're going to be not sponsorship, but we're going to be the prime coverage for a couple of your favorite college sports teams here in the Chicagoland area. And I'm just going to dangle that up there as your boy Israel Rivera will be in the press booth. They're covering those college games. So you guys don't want to miss that content as I drop those teams here in college football. So anyways, we're here to talk about the Tennessee Titans. And yes, last year, down year for the Tennessee Titans. As I mentioned, they finished, in the bottom of the NFC South. And I mean, just a new era, right? For the Tennessee Titans, last year they were 6-11, and they're used to winning, right? Especially under, Mike Vrabel. Last two seasons, weren't, good at all. And if the AFC South wasn't good at all, especially in 2022, 2 years ago, but they're used to going to the playoffs, used to being a playoff caliber team, especially in 2019, 2020, 2021, when they were winning. Even 2018, they were pretty, solid ball club, even though they didn't make the playoffs. But coming off of 3 straight playoff years and then missing the playoffs twice, it's almost like you regressed. But they do have a direction. They did put the reset button, especially at the quarterback position last year, by drafting Will Levis, moving forward from Ryan Tannehill as he was getting up there in age, getting up, underperforming for whatever reason. Derrick Henry still was chugging along, but he's getting up there in age. So they reset that position this season by getting Tony Pollard, by bringing in Tony Pollard, letting Derrick Henry walk, and he's now a Raven. And they have gotten younger in a lot of areas. They've gotten younger at the wide receiver position. They got free agent Calvin Ridley in there. I mean, they're not saying that he's a younger wide receiver; he's a vet now. But they revamped the wide receiver position, as well, along with DeAndre Hopkins. So I mean, I personally think that the Tennessee Titans aren't going in the right direction. As opposed to, what they were the last 2 years, because I think everything was kind of getting stale under Mike Vrabel, as he had that great success after, winning the NFL Coach of the Year in his second season as a Tennessee Titan head ball coach. And I think that moves into our next question, and hopefully TJ will jump in. I know TJ's, out, doing his thing right now. So, I roll solo, but, it is a new era in Tennessee. I mean, it's you have Mike Vrabel for 6 seasons, right? 3 playoff appearances. You had Derrick Henry, who was a staple of your offense for so many years. You had Ryan Tannehill for last 5-6 years. After he took over from Marcus Mariota. This Tennessee Titans team is taking a 180-degree change, right? They gotten younger at the quarterback position, brought a new running back. They've got younger at the line position, bolstered their line, revamped the wide receiver position, definitely from last season. I know they had DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks and stuff, but this year their wide receiver core is a lot better than last season. And defensively, I think they should be a little bit better as well. And as they talk about the new era, Mike Vrabel, had a hell of a, I gotta give him, the what he did in Tennessee. I mean, first year 9-7. I mean, he took a team that wasn't competing and basically turned them into a playoff contender. I mean, they won back-to-back AFC South titles in 2020 and 2021. After and then just some unfortunate bounces in 2022 and 2023, the last 2 seasons, which ended up costing him his job. But they bring in Brian Callahan, right? Brian Callahan is a long time, for the last 4 seasons, he was the offensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. They're looking from Brian Callahan. I mean, and he's a quarterback guy. This is why you bring in Brian Callahan, right? He's a quarterback guy. He's a quarterback coach in Detroit. He's a quarterback coach in Oakland. He was, an offensive coach, a coaching assistant under the Denver Broncos from 2010 to 2015. This is a guy that, he's been on a Super Bowl champion staff, in Denver. I mean, this is a dude that comes from a good pedigree of coaching, and so, I think this guy, they're looking to do what what they were able to do in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow. Not saying, look, Joe Burrow was an excellent quarterback coming in to Cincinnati, but that staff, Brian Callahan and so forth, they were instrumental in taking Joe Burrow's game to another level, right? In terms of getting a Super Bowl appearance, almost winning a Super Bowl, right? As an offensive coordinator. I mean, and Zach Taylor's commonplace. He's a still the same success is looking to be paid forward this season under Brian Callahan with Will Levis, right? And I think that gets into the next era, right? There's a lot of moving pieces in Tennessee. And I think that a lot of the fans were not thrilled that they didn't bring back Derrick Henry, right? A lot of fans are not thrilled that they went and got Tony Pollard. Like, Pollard, what? A lot of fans aren't thrilled about that, right? Now, the one thing that they are thrilled about is in 9 games, Will Levis played decent football. I mean, as a rookie, coming in midseason, replacing Tannehill, over 1,800 yards, 58.4 completion percentage, 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He was sacked 28 times. Now, that is the key. He was sacked 28 times. Did he hold on to the football a lot? As a rookie, yes. And this is what Brian Callahan's coming in for, right? Get the ball out of his hand quickly. Got quicker wide receivers. And Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins also, is always has been there. Tony Pollard is a guy that catch the ball out the backfield and he can go, right? A younger running back than what Derrick Henry is, right? So, you got playmakers. They're going to utilize Tajay Spears more in the offense this season. You have playmakers in this offense that will allow Will Levis to get the ball out of his hands a lot quicker, a lot firmer, make better decisions. And I think that, this era of, new Tennessee Titan football, I think you're going to see the ball fly out a lot more. What you saw last season out of Will Levis, this going into the year 2 expectations. Last year, you saw a live arm. Last year, you saw rookie decisions, but you saw a quarterback that had potential. You saw a quarterback that can fling it. You saw a quarterback that can get it out. I mean, I like what I saw against, when against Pittsburgh last season. I mean, Will Levis had some good moments last season for the Tennessee Titans, and I expect him to take that even better with more talent here for him. So will I be surprised if Will Levis, has 25 touchdowns and 10 interceptions? That's a pretty damn good year. If under my estimation, I think Will Levis has the potential to be a 30 touchdown type of quarterback in perennial 4,000, 4,500 yard quarterback every season in his career. We got a comment here from Yoli Cruz. Hello, Yoli. How you doing, baby? Actually, shouldn't be saying that. But anyways, I call everybody baby. I call everybody baby. Don't get it twisted out there. Don't get it twisted. I call everybody baby. Anyways, Will Levis, in my opinion, can be a very good quarterback, especially when it comes to the AFC South. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson now in Indianapolis, right? Will Levis, CJ Stroud probably takes the cake out of all of them when it comes to the AFC South quarterbacks. So you got a bunch of you got a bunch of young, budding type of star quarterbacks, right? Well, CJ Stroud, I think, is going to be the next superstar in the league. Trevor Lawrence just got paid like he was a superstar in the league. T-Law had a little bit of a down year. The year before, he was pretty solid. Actually, I think T-Law's last 2 years were solid. I mean, I think just CJ Stroud in Houston just came in and just took everybody's cake. And then last year, Anthony Richardson showed some promise last year early on in the season before going down with the injury for the rest of the year. And so then you got Will Levis, right? Out of the bunch, I think is the fourth worst quarterback in the division until he proves that he's, up there with those guys. But I think the AFC South has some very, the potential, the ceiling for a lot of these quarterbacks is very high. And including Will Levis. I think the ceiling is very high for Will Levis, in my opinion. Now, is it as high as like CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence? No. I don't think so. He's got to prove it to me this season. This season, he's got to prove it to me. Because last season, he was a rookie just like CJ Stroud, but he didn't play like CJ Stroud with rookie wide receivers and, talent. And when we look at the talent disparity between Tennessee and Houston last season, everybody thought Houston was probably going to finish on the bottom of the totem pole, and we were all wrong. That guy, CJ Stroud, elevated everyone's play across the board offensively. Now, does it help that he had a guy like Dalton Schultz? Yes. Right? Did it help that he had a really fast wide receiver in Tank Dell? Yes. Right? Nico Collins. Come on, man. So, look, I think Tennessee has a bunch of guys. Like I said, I brought it up. DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd. I think that is a hell of a tandem. I think in the NFL at the wide receiver position. And I think they can prove it this season. But it all depends on what kind of position is Brian Callahan going to put Will Levis in, right? We have to definitely keep him upright. 28 sacks in 9 games is a lot. I mean, if he played the whole season, he'd be one of the most hit quarterbacks in the NFL. Okay. And I think they did, kind of they revamped that offensive line, definitely. Now, here's another storyline for everybody out there. And I want you guys to chime in the comment section. Can the Titans be a playoff team? Now, David put these storylines together. Can they be a sneaky playoff team? leave the comments. Leave a comment in the comment section. Can the Titans be a playoff team? Yes or no? I would love to make a poll here on Prime Sports World. But you know what? That'll be for another day. So I figured that one out. But yes, can the Titans be a playoff team? Let me know down in the comment section. I'll tell you right now. I think they can edge for the wild card. I don't think they'll win. They'll be sniffing the AFC South. I mean, the AFC is super deep. I don't even think they'll be. No. The answer is no. The answer is no. Not right now. I don't think this team is good defensively enough to be. I mean, I know they, brought in guys like L'Jarius Sneed, Awuzie's solid. Kenneth Murray proved to be solid. Harold Landry solid. They drafted the big boy T'Vondre Sweat. Jeffrey Simmons is solid. I think defensively, I think this team will be sneaky decent. But let's be real, man. I do not think that this team is a playoff team this season. I think they're one more year away from being a playoff team. Now, I think that they can compete? Yes, I do think that they can compete at a high, at some sort of level. But do I think that they're a playoff team this season? No. I do not think they're a playoff team this season. I think that this team, can make things difficult for some of the other teams in the AFC South. I think they'll be more competitive, but I don't know if they're a playoff team this season. I'll have to go through their schedule. Looking at their schedule, I think they're a 7-8 win team. But that's just me. Looking at their additions, looking at their NFL draft, and like I said, they upgraded. J.C. Latham is a guy from Alabama that should start day one on that offensive line. He's a massive human being. He's one of the most athletic offensive linemen in the NFL draft. They pick him up at 7th, and for the second round pick, they pick another massive human being in T'Vondre Sweat. He's going to be a prototypical nose tackle for them. In the middle of that line, as they play the D4, 3-4, prototypical nose tackle. I mean, this kid's a massive human being from Texas. He plays his natural position there at Tennessee. Congratulations to him. Then they pick up Cedric Gray from North Carolina, sideline to sideline linebacker. I like that pickup from North Carolina. Jarvis Brownlee from Louisville, Jaquan Jackson from Tulane. He's a speedster. I like this kid a lot. We'll see how preseason ends up for some of these guys. James Williams out of Miami. Jalen Harrell is another guy. Edge from Michigan. He can get after it. He's raw. I think some of these guys will make the cut for the roster. I think guys like Jalen Harrell, Jaquan Jackson, Jarvis Brown, those guys, those 6th and 7th round guys, I think those guys have an opportunity to make the cut. But it's all about, the first 2 picks. I mean, J.C. Latham, you get a prototypical left tackle to protect Will Levis blindside. Put him next to Peter Skoronski. And then on the other side, you got Nicholas Petit-Frere, Lloyd Cushenberry at the center position, Sadiq Charles. This offensive line is solid. I think this is going to be a much better offensive line than what they were last season. And so I think that, they have improved in certain areas, right? Nose tackle, right? They need a big, sucker to take on double teams just so, guys like, Kenneth Murray and Jack Gibbons, right? Especially Kenneth Murray can move freely in the middle of that offensive, that middle of that linebacker core, right? And kind of make plays. So, they improved. I think, in certain aspects, have they improved enough to be a playoff team to compete in the AFC? That's, to be told, because the AFC is a gauntlet. Everybody knows this. The AFC is a very good conference. I mean, it's to even win the wild card in the AFC, I mean, you're going to have to at least have 10 wins. At least. I don't think this is a 10-win ball club. Free agency, roster shakeup. Like I said, I mentioned Tony Pollard. I mentioned Calvin Ridley. I mentioned Kenneth Murray coming over from San Diego, from LA. L'Jarius Sneed coming over from Kansas City. And then, obviously Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, Danico Autry, Andre Dillard. The two biggest names up there, Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, departing there. But, it just goes into it. I think getting the addition of Calvin Ridley, right? Getting the addition of Calvin Ridley. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Tyler Boyd was traded there. Let me just put my ducky straight. See, if David was here, he'd already have his all. David already had Tyler Boyd already up there. He already had Tyler Boyd. Yeah, Tyler Boyd was traded or whatever the case is. No, Tyler Boyd. He should have them on the additions list because Tyler Boyd signed a 1-year deal with the Titans a couple months ago. So that's that. So you should have him as an addition. He doesn't have that as a free agency addition. But anyways, I think those three guys are going to make a difference. Especially Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, Tony Pollard. I think, like I said, Will Levis, you're going to want to get the ball out of his hands quick. And those are guys that can get in the small spaces and get the ball, catch the ball in the backfield, and take them for a nice chunk. And you add those two guys, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, to DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks, who's another nice young wide receiver, first-round pick for them a couple years ago. Nick Westbrook-Akine, who showed some promise last season, it could be a solid wide receiver. So they have weapons there for Will Levis to throw to. Now it's all about how do you utilize those weapons. And I mean, Tyler Boyd, speaking of Tyler Boyd, he goes and reunites with his old OC down there in Tennessee with Brian Callahan. So, I mean, it's looking like the offense is gonna, be able to progress a little bit, and they have gotten better. They sewed up the offensive line. Now, like I said, it all becomes about the straw that stirs the drink, right? And that's Will Levis. All right, Will Levis is gonna be the straw that stirs the drink for this offense. If he doesn't progress offensively as a quarterback, in the NFL, you might be looking at Tennessee going deep into the bag for in next year's quarterback class, which has got some decent names next season. Shedeur Sanders being one of them, Quinn Ewers being another one. Got a few guys out there that are coming in. Carson Beck coming into the draft, just to name a couple that are going to be guys to look out for in the NFL draft in 2025. But anyways, moving forward to their 2024 schedule. And interesting enough, if TJ and David were on here, they would have their team number one here. You'd have the Tennessee Titans going up against the Chicago Bears. And that's week one. That's a loss. I think the Chicago Bears are much better than what they were last season. I think they're far superior in talent. I think the secondary for Tennessee, although getting L'Jarius Sneed still has some holes in it, in my opinion. So that's just that. And I think Chicago has a hell of a wide receiver core this season, along with Caleb Williams down there. So that's loss number one there on the road to Chicago. And then they go back home to play the New York Jets. That's another afternoon game. By the way, the Tennessee Titans only have one primetime game this season. One primetime game this season in their whole schedule. Just throwing that out there. And we're coming up on it. So then they go back home against New York. They lose that game. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to bounce back with that Jets team. They're going to be solid as ever. Then they stay home. They play against Green Bay. They start the season 0-4, in my opinion, because then they got to go into Miami. They have an early bye week in week 5. I think that's just to kind of rally the troops up, see everything. I think these are going to be competitive games. I think Chicago will be a competitive game. I think New York will be a little bit of a competitive game. I think Green Bay will be somewhat competitive as well. I don't think that Miami game, and this is their prime time game here with Miami. It's Monday Night Football, September 30th, week 4 on the season before the bye week. That's going to be a blowout. That's going to be a blowout. I'm sorry. That's going to be a blowout, and that's going to be we need to rally the troops up type of talk. Week 5, we can use something, blah, 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 yada, yada, come out. We're on 4. People are frustrated. Tennessee Titans fans are frustrated at this point. But yeah, that's going to be a blowout right there. Is that Miami game on Monday Night Football. So right now, just right off the bat, and just to say this, let me say this. I didn't even pull out any stats. The Tennessee Titans last year in yards per game offensively, they're in the bottom half. Defensively, they were close to the bottom half, I think, in my opinion. But offensively, they were definitely in the bottom half. 29th in passing offense, 28th in total offense. Rushing offense, they were 17th, middle of the pack in terms of rushing yards per game. Scoring offense, they were 27th in the league. So this was not a good offensive team last season. I think they took a 180 step in the right direction in terms of what their rankings, in terms of what they are going to be next season, in my opinion. And then after the bye week, week 6, my bad, they come back home and play Indianapolis for the first AFC South game of the season for them against the Indianapolis Colts. And I think they get a win against Indy. I think at home, I think they come out the bye week. I think they come out fresh. I think they get a W against Indy. Man, Tennessee is, and then they have one game. There's just they have one. This Tennessee team has one primetime game this season. That's what happens when you're not good. The Miami is their only primetime game that they have. But I think they come back home. They after the bye week, they beat Indianapolis. So right now at this point, they're 1-4, right? Then they go to Buffalo, they lose to Buffalo. Then they go to Detroit week 8, they lose to Detroit. At this point, they're 1-6. At this point, you're just like, okay, show me something, Will Levis. I think Will Levis has showed me enough. I think defensively, this team hasn't. They're going against good quarterbacks. I mean, brother. Let's start with it. Caleb Williams is supposed to be a stud in Chicago. Then you got to go against, arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be on a revenge tour this season. Then you go against a budding star in Jordan Love. Then you go against Tua Tagovailoa. Then you got to go against another young, promising quarterback in your division in Anthony Richardson. Then you got to go against a superstar quarterback in Josh Allen. Then you got to go against, the Detroit Lions, who are going to be a buzzsaw next year, and Jared Goff. So, I mean, dude, in your first 7 games, you're playing against legit, real good quarterback competition. In your first 7 games, in the first 7 games for the Tennessee Titans, they're going against good quarterback competition. They're starting off 1-6. I think the only game that they can win is against Indy at home. And then week 9, they go against New England. I think there's going to be some bumps. I think New England's going to even be worse than what Tennessee is at this point. So I think Tennessee at home gets a W against New England and Drake May and company. And at this point, like I said, you're just developing Will Levis. You're losing these games because defensively, you can't keep up with the other wide receivers that are going against you. right? Defensively, you're not good. I don't think offensively. I think offensively, Will Levis will put up yardage. Well, he may not, right? If TJ was here, he'd probably be like, "Hey, shit, 1-7. They looking to be at the top of the quarterback. They looking to get Shadur Sanders, Carson Beck, one of those guys." If TJ was here, he'd probably say that right now. I'm saying that right now. At this point, Will Levis ain't the guy, and we don't have enough. We got some guys on our roster that are very impatient in terms of like DeAndre Hopkins. He's probably screaming, "Trade me" right now at this point. Okay. So that's that. So yeah, they're right now, they're 2-7 or 2-6 right now in the standings, after they beat New England at home. Then they go on the road and play LA in week 10. They lose that game. So right now they are 2-7. They lose that game. Then they come back home to play Minnesota. I think they could beat Minnesota at home. I think they beat Minnesota. Right now they're 3-7 right so far in the season, after week 11. Then week 12 they go against Houston. That's the loss. They're not going to beat Houston in Houston. 3-8 so far on the season after week 12. And then they go to Washington to play Jaden Daniels and company. I think that's a W. I think they go into Washington and win, right, picking up their 4th win of the season after week 13. I think they're 4-8 at this point. And then they come back home and play Jacksonville. And I think they could beat Jacksonville. I think they'll split with Jacksonville. I think I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. They beat Jacksonville at home. So right now they're 5-8 on the season after week 14. Then Cincinnati, depends on the health of Joe Burrow and company. But I'm gonna pencil in Cincinnati for a W on the road against Tennessee. So right now Tennessee's 5-9 in my book. And then the next two, then they play Indianapolis on the road. I think they lose that game, depending on who's the quarterback, obviously. If Anthony Richardson is still there. If Anthony Richardson's healthy, I think they lose. I think they split with Indy. They split with Jacksonville. They get swept by Houston. So they end their season on a 4-game losing streak. And they're 5-13. They're 5-12 on the season. 5-12 on the season. That is what they are. They're a 5-12 football team. In my book, I think they're a 5-12 football team. Because just looking at everything that they have to go, looking at the first 7 quarterbacks that they have to face, and I'm not saying that they win that game at home, but it's tough. But looking at, let's say, 6 out of 7, their first 6 out of 7, they play good quarterbacks. They play good offensive teams. I'm not saying New York's a good offensive, but with Aaron Rodgers and company, I think that team will be solid. Miami, definitely. Green Bay, definitely. Chicago's definitely going to be improved. Buffalo's definitely always going to be good with Josh Allen. Jared Goff and those guys are going to be one of the best teams in the NFL. Then you got to play against, LA. And they play against all the rookie quarterbacks, right? So they play, New England, rookie quarterback. Minnesota, rookie quarterback at that point. Washington, rookie quarterback at that point. Those are all 3 W's. Should be all 3 W's for the Tennessee Titans. But you're not beating Joe Burrow if he's there and he's healthy and Cincinnati's healthy. Don't care if Brian Callahan has coached them and knows his weaknesses and all this other stuff. Like, the Tennessee Titans are not they're not better than what they were last. They're the same team as what they were last year, and it's because they're younger at some key spots, right? You're young at left tackle. You have a rookie. It's going to be a curve there with J.C. Latham, right? Your defense isn't – you have good pieces. And I like Kenneth Murray sideline to sideline. He's a good open field tackler. Devondre Sweat's going to open a lot for him. He's going to take on double teams. Jeffrey Simmons is going to take on double teams. I mean, they're going to have a good, I think, running defense. Their run defense, I think, is going to be pretty damn solid next season. Now, that secondary, as much as I like L'Jarius Sneed, he's prone to get burnt a few times this season, but just by looking at the schedule, okay? Just by looking at the schedule, he's prone to get burnt a couple times this season, okay? So, yeah, they're a 5-win ball club. That is like their floor is 3 wins. Their floor is 3 wins. Their ceiling, I know I said 7 wins. I didn't even look at the schedule. When I looked at the start of their schedule, it's a gauntlet. It's a quarterback gauntlet. It's as much as I like, okay, they're playing all the rookie quarterbacks. They're playing Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is gonna come in playing like a vet. Okay. Week 1, he's got all those crazy vets, all those good vets, and the Chicago Bears should be vastly improved. This Tennessee Titan team is, I don't even know why David made that a headline. Are they did he even look at, I'm going to yell at David. Did he even look at the schedule? Can we have you out there, folks? As in, you know, can we have you out there? Okay. This schedule is a gauntlet to start the season. This team is going to start off with 6 to 7 losses. They could very well be 0-7 by week 9. This team can be 0-7 by week 9 facing the New England Patriots. That could probably be their first win against the New England Patriots. So, hey, 5 wins. I got them on the season. Don't kill me. You guys tell me in the comment section who you think the Tennessee Titans, what their schedule will be, or what their record will be this season coming up. Go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section what you think their ceiling is and what you think their floor is here on Prime Sports World. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that has been a wrap for the Tennessee Titans season preview. Tomorrow we will bring you the Indianapolis Colts. I believe TJ will join that show with me tomorrow. So I have my boy here with me to join in on the festivities for the season preview series. And then David should be back either by Friday or Monday here to, you know, cover the rest of the season preview series as we get this train right along into football season right around the corner. And me and Christian should be starting up College Football Showdown here on Fridays soon, so you guys don't want to miss out on that content. And I'll bring an MLB All-Star Game show here coming up special. I know I haven't covered baseball. We haven't covered baseball much this season, but a lot to cover in baseball this season so far. So you guys don't want to miss that content here. But please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast at Prime Sports World on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And in case you miss us, you catch us on all streaming platforms where podcasts can be heard. And please don't forget to check out our website at pswmg.com. You can also catch our the podcast on there as well. If you don't know where to catch it at on our website. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's been a wrap. I will catch you guys tomorrow here, 8 p.m. At night. So you guys don't want to miss that content here that Prime Sports World drops. And look, as I like to leave it, baby, in case I missed you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. Sayonara, sucker.